There we go. Okay. So welcome to the 444 talk today, which is 4 p.m., 4th of April. And so that's today's talk is about the skills gap. And before we get into the talk, let me acknowledge acknowledge and celebrate the first Australians on whose traditional lands we meet. And we pay respects to the elders past, present, and emerging. And I'm speaking from Daruk land. And so today we will have the talk followed by quick questions and answers, and then a very small ML4AU matters that would follow. But to begin with, let me introduce three people at a very high level. And so that is Katherine Unsworth, the manager at ARDC in Skills and Workforce Development, and Dr. Isabel Ceron, and Social Sciences in Australia, and Dr. Anastasios, P, Advanced Analytics and AI Platform and Data Science at Intersect. Okay, so with that, actually, before handing over to Katherine, and Katherine is has been a librarian in the previous life, but has transitioned from information sciences to data management to data skills and so on, ever evolving. And her career in research data management spans many organizations, including CSIRO and Monash University and ARDC. She currently leads the Skills and Workforce Development team at ARDC, and her role is to drive a nationally coordinated strategy and approach to the skill development. And so she's responsible for the end-to-end life cycle of the skills development. So the right person. And with this, without further ado, I will hand over to Katherine to take it from here and lead the session. Thank you.
Thanks for the intro, Nana. Welcome and hello, everyone. I am very privileged to come to you today from the lands of the Wurundjeri people of the Kulin Nation. I'm here today to provide a little scene setting and introduce our wonderful speakers. So let's get started with a question, and I'll let you know later on what the question was for. Is a growing skills gap impeding the further progress and adoption of data science, AI, and machine learning in research? So the skills gap refers to the mismatch between the skills that employers require and the skills that the workforce possesses. The fields of data science, AI, and machine learning are advancing rapidly, and there is a growing demand for skilled professionals who can develop and implement these technologies for research purposes. Realising the potential in these fields requires a highly skilled workforce with a deep understanding of the techniques and technologies, their capabilities, and importantly, their limitations. However, there is currently a shortage of people with the necessary skills and expertise to meet this demand. The skills gap in these fields is multifaceted, with challenges at both the individual and organisational levels. At the individual level, there is a shortage of people with the necessary technical skills such as programming, data analysis and machine learning. This shortage is exacerbated by the fact that these fields are still relatively new, and many educational programs have yet to catch up with latest developments. At the organisational level, there is a shortage of research institutions that have the resources and expertise to implement and utilise data science, AI and machine learning technologies effectively. Many organisations lack the necessary infrastructure and expertise to collect and analyse large data sets, develop and deploy machine learning algorithms, and integrate relevant technologies in their existing workflows. To address these challenges, there are several strategies that can be employed. First and foremost, there needs to be a concerted effort to develop and expand educational programs that focus on data science, AI and machine learning skills. This includes both traditional academic programs and non-traditional training programs like boot camps, online courses and workshops, otherwise known as short format training. Additionally, organisations can invest in upskilling their current workforce to fill data science, AI and machine learning related roles. Second, there needs to be more investment in research and development in these fields and their related technologies. This can include government funding for research institutions, as well as private sector investment in AI and machine learning startups and research initiatives. Finally, organisations need to prioritise the development of data science, AI machine learning capabilities within their own institutions. This can involve recruiting people with the necessary technical skills, as well as investing in the necessary infrastructure and tools to implement and utilise relevant technologies effectively. Additionally, promoting diversity and inclusion in hiring can help to foster a range of perspectives and approaches in data science, AI, and machine learning research and development. Overall, addressing the skills gap will require a collaborative effort between educational institutions, governments and private sector organisations. With the right investments and initiatives, it is possible to overcome the current challenges and unlock the full potential of data science, AI and machine learning for research. So now I get to tell you who that question was put to. So just to make a point in relation to the power of AI and machine learning technologies, and I'm guessing I'm preaching to the converted with this audience, I'd like to disclose that my introduction today was a tweaked version of text generated by ChatGPT in response to the statement, a growing skills gap is impeding the further progress and adoption of AI and machine learning technologies in research. I've been waiting for the opportunity to use this AI platform. This event seemed like a good fit. Do I feel like I cheated? Hell yes. Did ChatGPT do a good job? Yes, for the most part, but still required some editing and contextual refinements. It's ethical for me to disclose my source. However, the ethics behind citing sources and references has not yet extended to ChatGPT, which doesn't provide sources, footnotes or links to where it derived information from and used in its answers. Zooming in on the ethics here, there is a shortage of experts in the field of AI and machine learning who are trained in ethical considerations, which makes it difficult to develop and implement ethical AI and machine learning technologies in practice. For example, while many researchers and developers may have technical expertise, they may not be familiar with ethical frameworks and principles such as fairness, transparency, accountability, and privacy. To address this secondary skills gap, it's important to invest in training and education programs that focus on the development of ethical research technologies. This may include offering courses and workshops on ethical frameworks and principles, as well as interdisciplinary training programs that bring together experts from different fields to work on data science, AI, and machine learning projects. So on that note, I'll wrap up the scene setting and hope that you don't hold it against me for testing ChatGPT for today's session. You can be the judge of whether, with help from AI, the scene was successfully set or not. I'll now introduce our first speaker, and the first talk outlines the problem space. So data science gap in research and some observations from the research sector. So as Nana pointed out, Dr. Isabel Ceron is one of our speakers today. Isabel works as a senior policy analyst at the Academy of the Social Sciences in Australia, a role that enables her to articulate the needs of social scientists. Isabel is dedicated to finding implementable solutions to the challenges faced by Australian social science research. With a diverse educational background, including a BA in social communication, a Master of Science in Urban and Regional Planning, Master of Science in Regional Development, and a PhD in Science and Technology Studies, Isabel brings over 20 years of experience from across media, government, consultancy, and non-profit sectors. So over to you, Isabel.
Thank you so much, Katherine. That introduction makes me sound so old. Very happy to be here. Thank you, Nana, for the invitation, and to you all for this chunk of your time and attention. I will speak from the limited perspective of the social sciences in my own role within the Academy. And let's just start by sharing the slides. I'm so glad to see so many friends in the audience. I hope I won't screw up too much. Let's see. So here we go. Thanks again. I'm Isabel. And the reason why I'm here is, well, you invited me, and also I have a second plan undercover here, which is we are working currently in a project to put together a 10-year plan for social science research infrastructure. So besides discussing all these important issues today, I also want to recruit you to contribute to figuring out this plan for social science research infrastructure. So on that note, about the Academy, I don't know how much you know about academies. You probably are familiar with our bigger sister, the Australian Academy of Science, but there's actually 5 of us in the country, each for one of the disciplinary groups, and us being the representatives for social science. We like to see ourselves as the umbrella organization for the social sciences. And how we function is the government, by decree, gives us funding every year, just under $1 million or something bucks. And between that money and what the fellows pay, we pay for these 8 people that you see in the picture, those 7 and me, to do work to raise the profile of the social sciences of our fellows, and particularly within the policy team, which is like the beautiful blonde woman there and myself. What we do is we advocate for social scientists to have access to the infrastructures and the supports and the funding that they need to do their best work. So that's sort of the role that brings me here today, is our concern for having the right infrastructure, and that includes access to appropriate training and skills. So yeah, basically that's it. What do we mean by social sciences? And I'm sorry to sort of dump this on you, but it's part of our job to sort of spread the understanding out there. So what I mean by social sciences is, I'll throw this definition out there. Social sciences begin when humans start interacting in groups or networks. So if you look at humans in the broader context of like the whole planet or the universe, you're in the terrain of STEM. If you go all the way down to individual expression and achievement, you are in the realm of arts and humanities. And there in the middle, where we just, in how we relate to one another, that's sort of what social sciences operate. The Academy recognizes 24 different social science disciplines, and we actually make over 50% of the research workforce in Australian universities. So we are big and we are very cool. And if you didn't know, statistics is considered social science, or at least we claim it to be. So if you see yourselves as that, then you're in our camp. Now in terms of, now today, I'll try and focus on machine learning and social science and what we've perceived in the work we've been doing over the past couple of years as opportunities, challenges, and then the question for you all: what do we do about the next 10 years? How do we best prepare for sort of to address the digital revolution that's happening? So, opportunities. Last year, we asked social scientists across the country what they believe were the biggest developments in terms of use of data in their disciplines. And surprisingly, I don't know, machine learning came up as the biggest one. This was answered by 94 people, and the full report is available on the link there. So this is to say that there is a clear recognition within the social science disciplines and an impetus for understanding what machine learning is, and for getting our hands into these kinds of technologies. And then this happened. So so now there's even not just impetus, but a sense of true urgency to understand. So what are those opportunities that we understand? And before that, why is machine learning such a struggle, I'd say, for social science disciplines? We're not very big on digital skills, at least not most of us. And it's not because we're stupid. I think it comes down to our history. I'll argue that it hasn't been our time for digital skills. It hadn't been our time until now. And why is that? So if you look back at the cost of collecting and analyzing human data, in the past, it was too high. You had to go out and sort of, pretty much approach people one by one, and then sort of transcribe it all and then painstakingly, slowly, manually analyze it. So if you compare like the ease of collecting and analyzing data from a sensor with comparing and analyzing data about human discourse or human behavior, or whether they're documented through observation or the interview you recorded or whatever, it's drastically different. It's very costly. And so for a long time, I dare to say, social science was about what's the smallest sample I can get away with, pretty much. And how that's changed in recent years is, well, now the human data are actually starting to pour in through smartphones and wearables and Internet of Things and social networks. And now, on top of all that, and sort of thankfully, and something really great, the government is also starting to open up about sharing the data they keep on citizens, to open that up to researchers in a way that they hadn't done in the past. I don't know if you're familiar with the Data Availability and Transparency Act that came out last year, but that's sort of the whole intent of the thing, is to increasingly make available all the data the government has across different departments, welfare payments, health, education, crime, taxes, whatnot, and increasingly allow for researcher access to those data sets, and not just the separate data sets, but linking those data sets in secure ways and in anonymized ways and whatnot. But that's happening. This is a situation that gets social scientists sort of not by surprise, but pretty much I'd say unprepared. This is where we're at. A huge opportunity that we're now able to sort of see society in ways we never dreamed of, but we haven't cultivated the skills or the mindset or the habits to deal with those kinds of data. So where we're at, I've pretty much gone through this. Recognition of the enormous need and opportunity in the digital transformation, with some practice advancing pockets. So we do have some really digital savvy researchers out there, but on the whole, penetration of the machine learning, it hasn't happened to the scale that would be desirable. And that's pretty much where we're at. We're now, in terms of the specific challenge, so I named the challenge, and this is probably goes well with what Katherine's GPT introduction was saying. Is the challenge is pretty much how do we inject machine learning thinking, the skills and the tasks into social science research, and how do we do that really quickly and well? And so I've summarized the kinds of challenges into like six types. The first one would be a workforce challenge. And the answers I've heard of the workforce problems, like Katherine's GPT thing mentioned, both where I've heard researchers say in roundtables, well, we should just train every social scientist as a data scientist, and that's it, we solve the problem. And others have said, well, we just need data scientists in every social science research team. And I'd say, and I don't think, I think you'd agree with me, I don't know, but I think none of those is realistic or viable. It's, it doesn't work either way. There's nearly not enough of you to solve the demand within STEM teams in academia, let alone to, we can keep you from going into industry. Now, try and have a data scientist in every team. That's sort of impossible. A second kind of challenge would be that methods challenge. So, and I think this is probably the one that I'm most passionate about, is how do we actually in social science modify and redesign our research methods to do qualitative research at scale? And is it possible that some of the tools that are available out there already for all the disciplines, let's think, for example, image processing, that, I don't know, for health or whatever, is it possible to adapt some of those to serve the purposes of social scientists? Could that be a quick solution? I don't know. There's an operational challenge, which has to do with social science researchers not being familiar with the sort of the digital sort of workflows. And so what happens, this is what we documented as part of the State of the Social Sciences we did in 2021, was that often data stuff occurs as an afterthought in the research design process. And so they apply for the grants, they get the grants, and then they realize they didn't budget for data work, neither to get the specialists in or to clean and curate and do whatever needs to be done with the data. So there's a sort of an education that needs to happen in terms of, sort of learning, the task part of incorporating machine learning into research. There's a cultural shift that's needed too. As I mentioned earlier, we're used to working on our own, on either solo or small teams, very different to STEM and health project teams, which are usually very large. You know how many surnames can you count as authors in a paper in STEM or health compared to usually the social science or humanities paper is like, I don't know, 1 to 3 people, something. So this culture also represents a challenge for just the idea of accepting that bringing in more people into the teams. There's another important problem related to incentives. This is especially felt in social science. And it goes like this. Whenever there are scarce resources, be it, for example, a data scientist or commercialization support, when these things are available in universities, they usually go to STEM because their resources are limited, and STEM gets the more funding, and STEM gets, importantly, the most citations. So it's not just that universities are evil, but the data scientist himself is more inclined to work with people who would get them the most citations. And STEM papers just rank up so many more citations than social science or humanities papers do. So there's that. How do we lure in the tech heads? I don't know, you'll tell me. And lastly, yes, we are at a time where we need to plan for the infrastructure that we need to put in place, but we are not data people, natively data people. So why do we need to, we're probably asking for the things we think we need from our traditional sort of ways. But if we were digitally savvy, what specs would be asking for? Well, when we advocate for new data collection tools or analysis tools or whatnot, what do we need to have in mind? We need the support of people who actually understand these issues to get those asks right. And so, so this is where I come to the questions of what are we going to do? What should the next 10 years be about? And what would a group of leaders like ML4AU, how could we best position you, or you position yourselves in the ecosystem so that you can contribute the most, because we need change to happen at scale and as quickly as possible. And if the answer is not to train every social science researcher as a data scientist, and if there's not enough of you to go into all the teams, so what do we do? And for this last bit of the presentation, I'd like to refer to an article I found in the Harvard Business Review magazine about democratizing digital transformation. This article was produced in the context of the corporate sector, not the research sector, but I think the challenges are very similar. They are talking specifically about the problem of scaling transformation and the problems or the challenges in attaining that transformation at scale quickly. And so I'll just read it because I think they say better than I ever could. The potential for digital innovation is impossible to calculate. But according to whatever report, enterprises across the global economy will need to create some 500 million new digital solutions by 2023. This is already a 1-year-old. More than the total number created over the past 40 years. These cannot be accomplished by small groups of technologists and data scientists walled off in organizational silos. it will require much larger and more diverse groups of employees coming together to rethink how every aspect of the business should operate. And so what they go on to say from that is, or their thesis is, that you cannot have the data scientists do the innovations. They argue there aren't enough of them for the number of innovations that will be required. And also, for as long as that's the job of the data scientists, and it's only them who understand what's going on technically, there would really be no revolution and no real digital transformation. So what they say instead is that we need to put the data scientists, or the ML4AU kinds of people, in the driving seat. These guys in this article see the ideal role for data scientists as sitting in that driving seat, creating environments for researchers to do the machine learning themselves. Environments that are secure, that cannot be easily broken by some idiot, and that are intuitive enough. And also in designing learning pathways for those researchers. And then they say, then you need to you teach enough, not everything, but you teach enough to the average worker, and then let them come up with the innovations, then release the innovators within your workforce. And the people who are writing this article, they compare different companies from across that spectrum that you see in the diagram there, from those who put their responsibility for innovations within the tech teams, which would be the the model on the left, all the way to organizations that coach their workers, their front desk workers, their CEOs, into implementing the innovations themselves. And they say that it's those in the latter model, the native model, who actually achieve true transformation, so to speak. So how do we go about doing something like this in research? I don't know, I've heard weird ideas like, well, I don't know, we set up a national machine learning help desk service. It's a matter of designing a national curriculum. Would a suite of Jupyter notebooks on critical case studies be, what we need? Have people study it on and half theory, half practice, half case study, but that's half that doesn't work. And what would be those secure, intuitive infrastructures? What would they look like? We've started mapping the capabilities available to social scientists in Australia, the research capabilities, and we're up to 200 now. We haven't mapped them all. I'd say this is 30% of what's out there. But what I wanted to highlight here is I've only identified so far 7, those in pink, 7 capabilities that deal with what you guys are trying to do, helping the researcher gain skills. I haven't yet mapped the carpentries. I haven't done ResBus, or I don't know how many more I'm missing here, but I'm confident to say there won't be many more. So yeah, it's pretty, what's the Australian expression for that? It's pretty, I don't know, it's sad. There's not enough of you. And so I'd like to conclude with, I thought, because I will be talking to technical people, that you'd love a biblical passage. So I brought a biblical passage for you, and it's from Matthew 5:15-16. And it says, "Neither do people light a lamp and put it under a bowl. Instead, they put it on its stand, and it gives light to everyone in the house." So where do we put you guys? You with your, this beautiful effort that you're doing of having this group going, and you have your Slack channel. What do we do with you? Where would you shine the most light? So that's my question for you today. And I'd love to hear from you if you have any ideas for what we should do about machine learning and for the social sciences that I can put in the decadal plan. Yeah, I'd love to hear from you. And that was me. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Isabel. That was fantastic. And some of those diagrams are really great. I really love that the stages of the digital maturity diagram there, and also the idea of opening tech and data up to the entire workforce and see where the innovators, kind of fall out from that is a really nice idea too. So thank you for that. Now, I don't believe we're taking questions at the moment. We'll do that at the end. And so now I'd like to introduce to you our second talk. And so this is the solution side, and it's about accelerating research by bridging the gap in AI and data science skills needed in modern research and upskilling the new generation of researchers. So the solution is being presented by Dr. Anastasios Papaioannou, and I know I did not get it right. Anastasios holds a PhD in computational biophysics, medical physics from the University of Sydney, with his research focus mainly being on computational physics, data science and machine learning in applied medicine, biology and physics. With over 10 years of experience in research, Anastasios possesses an extensive research background, as well as a deep technical understanding and expertise on research data, data science, machine learning, data and business analytics, and programming. He works collaboratively with relevant stakeholders to develop and implement solutions to increase research productivity and advance their research. As Intersect's data science manager, Anastasios manages and oversees the services provided by Intersect's advanced analytics and AI platform and the data science team. And I'd just like to also add that Anastasios has a high profile in digital research skills training across the research sector. I've worked closely with Anastasios for quite a few years in the skill space, and it's a pleasure now to hand over to him to present a potential solution. Over to you, Anastasios.
Thanks, Katherine, and credit always and kudos to you for trying to pronounce my last name. That's like
Thank you. You're so generous. Thank you.
Maybe I'll try ChatGPT next time, to see if it can pronounce it correctly. We'll see. It's a pleasure, and thanks for inviting me to talk about Intersect's perspective on this big issue that we face in academia. I was, as Katherine mentioned, the training manager at Intersect, so I was actually overseeing and managing the training activities across the country. And now I have recently moved to the data science manager, and I'm gonna actually try to capture the whole journey and our all multi-layer support model that we have at Intersect. But before I start, let's explore more who we are. So Intersect is a not-for-profit organization, national digital research organization, membership-based and founded by universities. It was established back in 2008, but now it has presence in 4 states and physical presence in 4 states and territories. However, we are providing services across Australia. We have different members like universities and organizations. We're also part of Nectar Node through ARDC, and we're also collaborating and providing access to HPC, high performance computing, through NCI. So I'll start by just giving a bit of a background about this big gap that everyone is discussing now and how big it is actually. So 2021 National Research Infrastructure Roadmap, one of the sections there mentions that researchers no longer having sufficient expertise in data management, computational and analysis techniques. And this is not something new, it has started already back in 2016-17 when papers from Nature, Bioscience and PLOS-EB were mentioning about the pressing unmet need that we're facing in research, and how important are these skills actually to build a deeper understanding of life or research or in general. And it's not just one domain, it's everywhere. Another interesting study that I recently found is a Nature study that surveyed more than 1,500 researchers to better understand issues about reproducible research. And some of the key factors, as you can see, are poor analysis, methods is not available, poor experimental design, and of course, they think that you need some technical expertise to reproduce your research. And when they asked them actually, what are the 2 or more important factors that can boost productivity, almost 90% said better understanding of statistics and analytics and better mentoring from other people who are aware of these issues. So what do researchers need? The researchers want quicker and more impactful outcomes. However, now in a data-intensive research world, they require a combination of data skills and large-scale infrastructure and all the support that is coming with these cutting-edge tools and technologies. However, all of them have great in their discipline, but they don't have capacity and might not have expertise or time or aware of what tools they should learn. And I can understand that it might be an overwhelming journey as well to be familiar with all these tools that you need there. So in this talk, I'll try to elaborate a bit more about like the 4-layer digital research support model that we have at Intersect and how we go like and try to tackle the problem by each stage and each layer. So the most generic layer that we use is training. So we provide hands-on training as part of Intersect membership and of course as through other partnerships. So we have an extensive catalog of training in the most popular and widely used technologies in research, including Python, R, Tableau, NVivo, RedCap, Qualtrics. So we're trying to capture like most of the tools and technologies that are widely used. And of course, in different areas as well, capturing most recently machine learning as well, started in 2020. NVivo for qualitative research. This way we have more people from arts and social sciences, and we keep expanding the catalog with more than 50 courses now. All these courses are hands-on, instructor-led workshops on these tools and technologies, and they're research-oriented, and that differentiates a bit the training courses that we provide compared to self-paced training, for example. To make it scalable and sustainable throughout the years, we had to develop a robust workflow. And I wanted to include this one because it's very important to understand that when you start scaling your training and you're trying to like provide training, you're going to see the numbers to thousands of researchers, then you need to have something in place. And we have built a training system where it automatically communicates with Eventbrite, for example, for registrations, with our website to throw all the scheduling, with all the people who are involved in the training, but also like to push automatically like all the workshop data, registration data, and trying to invest more time into collecting important information that can dictate actually strategies and what people need, where they're coming from, what are their roles, etc. And I'm going to present a bit about that, like the analytics and the reporting. All right, just to show you like a bit of how much we do, we started in 2012 with only 10 people who participated, and in the line you can see the cumulative number of attendees throughout the years, whereas the bars are showing the annual number of attendees. So until today, actually, we have trained more than 32,000 people. This corresponds probably to around 20,000 individual researchers. And as you can see, like it grows exponentially, like especially through COVID, like we had this big peak of 6,700 researchers trained like in 1 year. So it keeps expanding. We can see a lot of people like trying to get themselves like trained with all these new technologies from any discipline. So this is also like to see like where we're operating. And of course, if we take all the historical overview, New South Wales is the biggest one, the biggest cohort, because like we started from New South Wales, but we have expanded to other states and territories like Victoria, South Australia, and through last year, through the partnership that we have for the skills sharpening training that is offered through NCI, where also like have people coming from Australian-wide organizations and also other states like Western Australia, Tasmania, and Queensland. So as I said, we offer more than 50 hands-on training courses. We train more than 32,000 people, deliver over 2,200 workshops throughout the years. We're also trying to capture and evaluate all these big scale training that we're running. So we have this Net Promoter Score. And for people who are not aware about this one, is like this tricky question that all people ask you in industry, like if you would recommend this service. So if you are like this metric can go from minus 100 to 100. If you are at 0, you're already like in good hands. If you are like more than 30, you are like performing really good. If you're more than 50, 60, you are like doing an excellent job. So we're plus 64 all time, and we're very happy to keep improving our delivery quality. But also like Net Promoter Score is just a single metric. So we use other 5 metrics to evaluate the quality of our delivery, and all of them in a scale from 0 to 10 perform 9 out of 10. So which is great to see. Just also to see also how the training has been involved throughout the years, just to show 2022 data. You can see different pictures. So you can see actually like New South Wales has 2,600 people, but you can see like big cohorts from South Australia and Victoria. Like actually the fourth one is from Australian-wide organizations, and then you can see like how the spread is more evenly distributed. Last year, for example, we trained around more than 5,500 people. There are 100 courses delivered, and our NPS was plus 70 based on 2,000 responses and 9.1 plus on all 5 course evaluation quality metrics. Here are some key stats. This way you can see like what we're collecting. We're collecting a lot of information through registration and through our course evaluation survey. So here you can see that most people are HDR students, PhD students from any discipline. So we're allowing people to come to our courses from any stage of their career, from any discipline, including also professional staff from the university. So you can see that more than 50% are HDR students, followed by academics, then professional staff who are research-related, postdocs and fellows, and then HDR masters, et cetera, et cetera. And just to give you a bit of an idea how we can analyze even further, we can analyze the different roles based on the technology that they're attaining. This way we can find patterns and see where the interest is coming from and what people at different stages of their career are interested in learning and for what reasons. Of course, I'm not going to present all this data, but we can collect that, and we're releasing all this in our reports. So here is some other things that we're collecting, like for example, the FR code, where you can see that most people are coming from health sciences, followed by engineering, biological sciences, et cetera, et cetera. And then if we have the heat map where we can see all the FR codes with the technologies, we can start revealing patterns. For example, my co-fellow physics people are coming mostly for Python and R, actually. But you can see also other patterns from people from humanities and social sciences, how they're coming, for example, here for in vivo, and etc. So we keep analyzing and understanding like patterns and what people are interested in learning, creating pathways and more courses as well. To evaluate our courses, because it's really important to make sure that we're doing a good job, we're having a course evaluation survey that is very short, and we're trying to capture a few things to know how we're doing. So we're using a scale from 0 to 10. 0 means I don't like it at all. 10 is extremely. We're using the Net Promoter Score, which is about like recommending the interested course to colleagues. We're using 5 other main quality metrics about like feeling comfortable and welcoming atmosphere, comfortable interacting, if the instructors were knowledgeable, et cetera, et cetera. And we also use like questions for qualitative feedback that we're doing more and more actually work thanks to some of the digital research analysts that we have, and they have expertise in that. So just to give a bit of like data around like the sort of evaluation survey, plus 70 was the Net Promoter Score in 2022. And as you can see here in all 5 metrics, all of them score really well on average, which means we're really happy to keep improving and getting all the feedback. And here you can see our historical trends. NPS keeps going really good. And we're happy to see that every year, like we're keeping, if not increasing, the quality. We're soon are going to release our report on digital training program, which is going to have all this information around like FR codes, faculties, where they find out about the courses, what methods are working, communication, why they're coming to courses, etc. So you can find it either on our website, or if you are subscribed to Intersect newsletters or our LinkedIn, you can find out about that. We have released last year the report as well, and we're planning to do it every year and openly expose all the things that we know about training. But we didn't stop there. One of my goals was to capture, if possible, the long-term training impact. And, you know, there was nothing about that. How important is digital skills training in the research world? And so what we did with a team of with some staff from the team, is to design a survey and trying to understand the long-term behavioral change and impact. So we surveyed people who attended at least one of our training courses a year after to ask and understand the long-term impact on their research workflows, understand what kinds of support services they use after the training, and also like trying to understand, is there a link between all these tools and research outputs and grants? So here I'm going to present just a small thing, and then I'll give you the link to our report that it was released last year. So we got actually quite a lot of responses, more than 1,000. So 1,160 responses from research-related roles from 14 universities across Australia. Here is the demographic. So most of them were PhD students, but we received some responses from academics with 16%, postdocs, et cetera. Here you can see the split by faculty as well, mostly from medicine, health science, but also engineering and arts and social sciences. And most responses were of course, in the top tools are Python, Excel, etc. So we use the Kirkpatrick's 4-level model of evaluation for training, which actually takes a perspective to evaluate 4 different elements of the training that you're providing and the educational part. So, for example, the degree reaction is the degree to which participants find the training worthwhile and relevant. And you can see after 1 year, more than 75%, they said at least very worthwhile, the training. Or another one that is very important is also about learning. So they feel a year after at least like 85 to 90% more confident to use the technologies in the research. So another one that we asked is, did the knowledge acquired in the course contribute to your ability to produce materials that later may lead to any of these following research outputs? And almost 80% of the survey participants responded that the knowledge acquired in the training courses contributed to their ability to produce materials that led or may lead to at least one of the research outputs presented here, for example, journal article, thesis, presentation, report, etc. So you can see how important all these tools are becoming actually for the research workflows and the significance of learning and upskilling the new research workforce, the new generation of researchers. And of course, like you can see that thesis and presentation were also like selected and were like these tools contributed to that. And to a lesser extent, also like to poster reports, etc. Of course, we did more analytics by role. And here I'm going to just expose that, for example, you can see that academics and postdocs, both of them, general article is on the top of the list, but then also presentation and conference work is also quite high. And you can see different patterns based on different roles. I'm not going to spend too much time here. If you're really interested in learning more about our survey and all the results, like we have released openly our findings, and you can find it either using this link or the DOI. I'm happy to share it in the chat later on. This way people can find out. It's a bit lengthy. This is because of my research background. I have a tendency to write long, but hopefully you can find it useful. And if you want to learn more, like feel free to email me, and I'm happy to explain more how we did that. All right, so the next layer of support that we provide is through our digital research analyst, through hacky hours and peer support. And this is happening usually in all the universities that are members of Intersect. I'm not going to say too much there. I'm going to talk more about the generic kind of digital research analyst support that we provide before I go to the top level, which is the advanced analytics and AI platform. So the digital research analyst support is like a second core of our membership that what we provide, and it's a first kind of line of support. So like researchers after training, they can go to these people and they can ask for generalized support and consultancy. This way they can help them adapt the technologies after the training courses that they schedule at the member universities and deliver themselves. So we have an extensive network of digital research analysts, and you can see that all of them are based in different universities, but at the same time, they're working collaboratively. So they're working together into sharing knowledge and expertise on different domains. So usually we have a different digital research analyst placed in one university, being the primary contract for organizing and delivering training and support. This way they can upskill the community and whatever is needed in terms of support. So we have a network of 25 plus digital research analysts and of course trainers who are providing the training courses. The main role is also like to do some post-training researcher support and engagement. So this way, like people who are coming to a training, they don't feel that that's the end. So they can go to and communicate with them and find actually make it more contextualize more the questions that they might have and how they can adopt technologies. We have also a dedicated training admin team, which is a sub team which manages and reviews training strategies and course development. As you can imagine, doing training at scale requires probably a team to help and review all the things that are happening and administer the systems as well, which is the next thing I spoke before. And we have a bespoke training system. We're planning to change it to a more professional one. So we're working towards even more improving the workflows and the integrated part with our systems, etc. Of course, we do a lot of reporting and analytics. This is part of me and the team, the data science team. So we're providing as much data and information that we collect openly to the community. And I was involved in various communities with Katherine and other people nationally and state level. And we're trying to provide and be active and share our knowledge with the wider community. Of course, the digital research analysts also they're raising awareness of available digital research services and training at their member universities. They're also engaged with the research community, the library and ICT, and trying to see what is needed in the university. And of course, they're all working together into new course development and what needs to be done. And I'm gonna finish my talk with the portfolio actually that I'm managing now, which is the Advanced Analytics and AI platform. We call it 3AI platform. This is a dedicated team of data scientists, machine learning experts, analysts, statisticians, etc., designed to provide full end-to-end support or collaboration within researchers for data-intensive research. How did we start with this idea? We usually run every few years a survey to our member universities and different level people, from the high level directors all the way to the actual researchers. And we asked them actually to rank 7 factors for their relative impact on research productivity. And the 7 factors I have them here. It was training, digital research analyst support, compute storage, data management, data transfer, and data science analytics support. And here are the results. So you can see that for the highest ranked productivity factors, training was considered the top one by far from all different roles. But then data science is popping up. But the important thing is the secondary ranked productivity. So after training, the highest one, especially for researchers, was data science support, and for research admin as well. So when we aggregated the data and we calculated the average ranking, you can see that data science is popping up as the second most important factor on research productivity that researchers ask and need after training. So we thought that we definitely need to have another layer of dedicated support to help researchers accelerate their research, but also upskill them throughout the process. So how it's working? So we thought to have a team that can help and provide support throughout the whole workflow. So from the beginning of the experimental design all the way to data import, cleaning, transformation, do an exploratory analysis, perform the analytics, do the visualization, help them with the results, help them with the final research outputs and the methodology. And of course, all this is coming up with tools and technologies in every stage of this work. But to make it a bit more clear, this is how we think it's working, and that's how it operates at the moment with the projects that we're working on. So you can see at the top level all the stages of the workflow, and you can see Intersect Advanced Analytics, which is a team of experts, data scientists, machine learning experts, specialists, etc. But then also we need the storage and infrastructure to be supported by AI-enabled and data science-enabled libraries and an ecosystem of software. So all this is collaborative with the academics and the researchers that they need support. And here is also like how it can work with different actually projects and universities that we're working on. So, for example, the university can provide infrastructure, or and then at each stage, the researcher is communicated with other internal services or intersect 3 AI platform, like to understand it more. And I'll take what Isabel said, that the idea is not to do just the work, is to collaborate with them and advance research, and if possible, like train them to do this job in the next. So try to make something reproducible this way, like we're helping them to finish this project, but at the same time, upskill them in all the things that we're trying to help them with. So we're not trying to, and I totally agree that the idea is not to like data scientists to do the work for them, but it's just to give them a push and accelerate a bit, and then let them understand and do the work themselves if possible, or the new generation, which are the HDR students. To do this, like we have also like prepared a data-centric optimized project management workflow, where we want to show to the people who are working with and trying to understand also ourselves in what stages like this support is needed more. And we have used a pipeline where everything is automated, from data capture all the way to the reporting or the project related dashboards, where people, the academics themselves or the project leaders, can see what is used and what we do more actually throughout the workflow. And to make it a bit more relevant, like here are some case studies. For example, we're working with New South Wales Department of Primary Industries in this seasonal conditions monitoring network. So what is happening here, the DPI, New South Wales DPI climate branch, would like to have some sensors that collect live information, weather data and soil data, and then throw them into a database, do the cleaning, do the pipelining, the transfer, exploratory analysis, visualize, and then at the end provide a platform or a dashboard where the farmers who are having this data coming to their farms have a monitoring of forecasting. So this is as part of the enhanced drought information system, and we're working with real-time dashboard. So what we're doing, we're supporting, they are the scientists, they have the knowledge, and we're just supporting them to optimize this workflow. So we're helping them with the import, we do the cleaning, exploratory analysis, they guide us on what they want to see and what are the important things, and then we're trying to help them all the way through the application. And here are some other projects in different domains. For example, like we have a project now that we're trying to implement machine learning models to predict athletes running direction. So this is a project that we have with sports science, and then they have sensor data, and we're trying to create all these models for prediction in statistics. Another project is about developing tools for and apply data science for developing animal tracking and monitor and automate pest management tools. Or another project is about machine learning based model to predict cattle behavior during transport. So from sensor data. So the idea is, the aim of this new platform is actually to help researchers accelerate research, but also upskill them at the same time. And with that, I would like to finish my talk. And here is my email if you would like to learn more about Intersect or the advanced analytics platform, the website, and also like our LinkedIn page. Thank you.
Thanks, Anastasios. That was really fantastic. Really good to see some of the machine learning projects that you're involved with as well. I hadn't known about those, and now I do. So that's really interesting for me. And I'm always jealous every time I hear you talk about the way you collect your training data and then, put the analytics across it and the evaluation stuff, and, present that back to people as well. It's impressive. It really is impressive. So thanks again for sharing that. Now we've got a document for questions, and I'm not sure, Nana, how much time we have for questions at this point.
We do have time. We can prioritize the questions, and but we don't have any questions on the document. So if someone would like to, but we invite people to speak up as well. And
I did put some in there, but I don't want to steal the show. So we open it up to people if you want to put your hand up and ask a question rather than popping it in the chat if you're more comfortable with that. All right, well, I'm going to start with one, seeing as no one's... So Isabel, I don't know if you can see the document or not, but would you see the adoption of machine learning techniques, tools and methods being a greater ethical challenge for the social sciences as compared to many of the STEM areas of research?
I wouldn't know how to compare, but definitely it does bring like significant ethical challenges. It's one of those never-ending topics, right? What usually gets me the most interested and excited about those things is how do I put this? I think we stand to gain the most by simply understanding what it's all about. I see a lot of talk out there, like scary talk about machine learning and AI that really just comes from lack of understanding of what these things are really about and what they should be used for. So yeah, I'd like to see a lot of that. And that's sort of what I was referring to when I said it's not just about using, like having the skills to use the methods, but also about the mindset. So yeah, I like to see that in training solutions sort of include that part where yeah, you understand not just how to use it, but what's for. Yeah. I don't know if that answers the question. Probably not.
No, that's fine. Because yeah, just thinking in terms of, you know, researchers these days, there's just this huge policy framework that they need to get their heads around when taking on some of these more innovative methods for research. And I think even getting policymakers in that space understanding the tools and technologies is really important, because how can they then, as decision makers and policymakers, develop policy that's relevant and is suitably constraining in the right sort of ways, but then not constraining innovation at the same time. So yeah, it's an interesting area, ethics. So any questions coming up from anybody else? Nana.
That's me, unless someone else has any questions. And that case, I can wait. Okay, I will go first. And yeah, so Isabel, that was a wonderful presentation. You actually put a lot of stuff on this, but also in a manner that that can easily be understood. And so but you also mentioned that about the decadal plan, right? That is being prepared at the moment. So how do you see this kind of training or the gap fitting into the decadal plan, especially in the AI and data area?
Sure. Skills and sort of everything workforce. We haven't really decided on the decision making or structure the discussions, how we're going to come out with a plan yet. But I see skills and workforce issues sort of a cross-cutting elements in all the discussions. How I imagine this to have a place in the plan is as a layer amongst others that are important, but as a sort of a cross-cutting element, or as a cross-cutting layer across all the aspects that we sort of end up organizing the plan around. And particularly, I dream of having a section, what could it be, like a case study or a 2 or 4 pager specifically on AI and ML and what they can mean for social science and the specific sort of possible pathways or ways forward And that's one area, like in coming up with, because the plan, as much as a decadal plan is a plan, like as a series of steps, as much as that, it is also an educational tool itself. It sends out a message as to why things are important, not just what things we want done, but also why they're important. And for a topic like this, where, as we've been sort of talking, the understanding is not that high, then having a piece that in the plan that sort of lays out the importance and all the why and the potential, and then sort of the possible ways forward. It would be a lovely thing to work with you guys if there was an interest in collaborating with us on that.
Absolutely. Certainly. Thank you. Anyone else have time to organize themselves? Any questions? And this is the time for to reach out to Isabel. Not that she's going to disappear. You can always reach her. And yes, there is Mohammed has a question.
Thank you, Nana, and thank you, Katherine, and all the speakers. It's indeed a great presentation. So my question is to Anastasios, and my question is regarding to the delivery of the trainings for upskilling the skills of the new generation researchers. As you mentioned in one of your graphs that you're training, let's say, PhD researchers. So my question is I also have some kind of background in data science, and I assume that machine learning and data science is still considered as a black box. So how difficult is it to train early career researchers in this field? Because it's very complex and difficult field to understand. So what kind of processes and lessons are learned while training those early career researchers? Because during our PhD, we conducted research in this data science, but it was really hard to understand the basics of this field. For instance, how the models are training, how the models are predicting the outcomes and all those stuff. So my question is, how hard is it to train the early career researchers in this field?
So we introduced the machine learning courses, just to go to the high level courses, in 2020 actually, and our goal was to build mostly awareness around machine learning models and the different types of machine learning. So we run 3 courses, like, which are the series that we're asking people to come, and we start with a very generic actually understanding and concept of machine learning, and then we go through like regression classification and all the other aspects of training. It's interesting because most people are coming just to get a very first understanding of what possibilities are with all these tools. So you can see people coming from not traditionally like digital heavy disciplines in these areas, which makes us realize that probably what we need to do is to step down a bit and focus more on the high level understanding and explanation rather than on the application of that. So even though we're running workshops, we're not going deeper into the models, and we're not teaching the mathematics behind the modeling and all these kind of theories, because, like, as I said, it's our audience is all disciplines, all areas, and we're not asking people to come only from, otherwise it's going to require maths background and all these like extra details. So we're trying to keep our courses very generic in the way we teach them. This way, like, people who are coming from any discipline can understand and get the concept, because we still think that the most important is for them to get an understanding of how they can integrate these tools into their research, or what possibilities it can open up into their research questions.
Thank you. Thank you, Anastasios.
Katherine.
So Anastasios, my question is for you too, and sort of a bit piggybacking onto Mohammed's question, but putting it in the perspective of actually recruiting suitably skilled trainers? And do you have, you know, issues around that, or do you do a lot of your, you know, you recruit for potential and then do a lot of in-house training to get them highly skilled?
So we don't have an issue because we're trying, first of all, like we're always like trying to have more people like in the team. This way, like we avoid any situation where we're like short of trainers. But at the same time, like we have throughout the years, we have developed a sustainable way of training them. So first of all, we're recruiting people from all over the country, and especially now that it's online, like we can have people. And it's a paid system, so they're getting paid for what they're doing, and they're like as PhD students. Usually we target them. They need this support from us, so we're paying them for the preparation, etc. So we see throughout the process that we don't need to have a big number of trainers, because like they're staying for the whole PhD duration. Because and just an interesting thing that came up recently, because we're doing some meetings with them and understand like why they're staying, if we can improve something. They were saying, one of them said that they dropped for this semester the uni courses and the uni teaching that they are doing to focus more on Intersect, because it gives them more flexibility, and you know, they're enjoying more the process and the professional development that they have throughout this process, because they're learning throughout teaching. So apart from these, like we have also developed like a process of like giving them time, like to make the onboarding like smoother. So we're not going to ask any new trainers to deliver courses straight away. So they need to observe, and we have a process behind the scenes that we onboard them slowly and they can start learning. And also like we give them a safe environment where they can raise their hand and say like, hi, I want to learn, let's say machine learning, but I have no idea. I want to come like and slowly learn. So they can come to the workshops, be assistants, like observe and at the same time learn. So we haven't faced this issue yet, Katherine, but at the moment, like it's going really well. And even if like we want to have more trainers in machine learning, which happened like a year ago, we managed to find people who were interested from PhD, for different PhD and disciplines, and they're happy and they're staying with us already for a year and a half.
So is this potentially a kind of new career pathway for, you know, PhDs who, you know, we know that there's very limited places for, you know, within academia. So is this a potential new pathway that you could see happening in that sort of area? And, you know, where they are actually practitioners in their area of skill, and then do the training, you know, based on that?
Yeah, I definitely think so. To be honest, when I was doing my PhD and they came at some point at the University of Sydney and presented how much of us is going to stay in academia, like everybody was scared and discussing after, because the percentage was like probably like people who are going to stay and be academics was like probably in 1% or 2% in the medical physics area. So everyone was, you know, start thinking like, okay, we need to do professional development to start jumping out. So definitely we see like seriously like a lot of people thinking of, you know, getting skills that can make them more employable. And this is a challenge that PhD students have in academia. And also like it's a pathway for people to stay at Intersect, because a lot of us started with delivering training as casuals through our PhD. And now like, you know, like always trying to have full-time people who are like would love research, but they love also the support element. So they're becoming more and more like part of this. And I think this community and all these digital research communities should take advantage of these people and trying to embrace these, empower all these skills that they learn throughout their PhD and their career.
All right. Unless Jane, you want to go first?
Oh, yes, thank you. So I'm a like training support officer from ORN, and yeah, thanks for all these two like very like rich information, very nice presentation about how to engage with researchers to help them with increase their capability in the digital science. And I do have a question for Dr. Anastasios about like your cost structure, and also how do you raise income by offering all these courses, and do you have extra funding from government, etc.? As I could see, like this whole training resources could be quite huge, and how like your business structure could handle with all these things and also provide such great opportunities for the young researchers.
Thanks for the question. Actually, like that's a very challenging part that we had to go through, and the model that we use, and it's sustainable now, is the membership model. So what we do is we have a membership model where an organization as a whole joins Intersect, and like with a fee, and what we provide is 15 training days plus a full-time person like being placed in the university or the organization. So that's the model. The fee is paid by the organization, and then everything else is provided for free for the researchers. So we're trying to engage at the very high level of the university. This way we can make it sustainable. And we have costed it in a way that is sustainable to operate all the things behind the scenes, all the trainers who are involved, everyone is paid, everyone is, like otherwise it's very challenging to make it sustainable if you don't have all these people, like willing to spend time and getting paid for their work. So that's the way we operate. Like we have services on a fee for service, but the membership and the training that you saw is as part of these like membership package that we provide to different universities and organizations. For example, like New South Wales Department of Planning and Environment came, and they became like part of this like membership, and not in a way like in a different way, but still access it and give all this training and support to them, all the scientists.
Brendan?
Hi, thanks for a couple of fantastic talks. I have a question about kind of, the future of data analytics and research in Australia. And Anastasios, you alluded in your talk, I think, to, where, where we're going to be as the sheer volume of data that researchers need to deal with is growing at this exponential rate. And you have a core which does both training as well as some high-level consulting, essentially, for difficult tasks or huge data tasks. Those big data jobs will only increase as a proportion of the work you're asked to do. So what are your thoughts on balancing the training of, the general research workforce with the actual doing as highly skilled kind of data scientist consultants? What do you think about the idea of, having a national data analytics core in Australia, where, we focus more on researchers bringing their data to people like yourselves, rather than trying to train every researcher to be a data scientist, which, as we all know, is kind of an independent discipline requiring its own degree?
I can respond, and then maybe Isabel, you can respond as well. I think definitely I agree it's not sustainable to keep doing it like individually. We cannot ask people to be capable in data science. And to be honest, like if I was I'm coming from physics, I'm always saying that I learned all these tools and techniques because it was part of my research. If it wasn't, I wouldn't care, to be honest, like to use any of these technologies and tools. Like it was just helping me to progress my research questions, etc. So definitely we need to find the balance. For me, like it's what Isabel said. So we need to find a balance that we train people to be aware, create a language where they can communicate with experts, or let's say machine learning experts, AI experts, or data scientists, to ask them what they really want, guide them with what is needed, and then like trying to educate them how they can do it themselves, or try to do it with them and then at the same time educating. In the projects that we have, it's very interesting because all the academics who are coming and they're doing like now some project work with us, they're always like, we're always trying to be upfront and saying like, bring your PhD students, bring everyone. We're happy to educate them and train them like in all these things, right? Like our goal is not to start grabbing all the projects because it's not sustainable. Imagine how researchers there are there and how much research support exists. So the sustainable solution for me is train people, create a language to overcome the language barrier between like a scientist and data scientist and all these like machine learning experts, and then try to leverage all this knowledge and trying to progress and focus on training the new generation of researchers, because like that's gonna solve probably like the huge amount of support that is needed. And another thing, like in terms of the train that we're going now, like we're going into an AI train where everyone is going to start using AI for research, which is scary. I mean, like coming from this place, I'm not so much enthusiastic, more scared, because like if you don't educate people in the great way of use these kind of technologies and tools, you might create like huge problems in the future. I'm not saying stopping, but educate. And you can see always that educating or creating like an understanding of things is very important. And just if I can finish with my answer, that I was trying to find a really good example of what we need to do here. And it's like, you cannot throw tools or AI tools or machine learning or data science without educating other people. It's like, I was finding an example and I come up with the example of cars. So imagine that you are creating cars and you're throwing it to people, and then you don't educate them how to drive, and you don't have traffic lights and roads, etc. So nothing might happen, but you might create also like some crazy things there. So I definitely think that we need to have a balanced way of education plus what we can achieve like in a sustainable way. But I don't see like this, I see this being like more aggregated at a very high level or collective work towards solving the problem of gaps that we face now.
I think, Anastasios, your last point was resonating with me. And in fact, my question pertained to that. And also coming from Brendan's earlier item. That is, I mean, it is, in some ways, it is dangerous to be partially educated in something like data science, because I mean, I can narrate a very quick anecdote about what happened. I was reviewing a couple of papers and some work, and you will see the student or whoever has done it has used, for example, categorical data as though it is actually it's a numerical data on a scale and so on. So these sort of things, and then I have seen cases of actually imputations of over 80%. And so on. So this is this is not the algorithm or computational issues, but these are more of practice issues that often go under carpet, and so that's something to keep in mind. And I'm actually glad that you have actually pointed out this as well. And thank you. And Katherine, okay, so in that case, yeah, so if you have any questions, otherwise we can quickly roll over to the ML4AU meeting items, which is very simple. I mean, one, I wanted to, in fact, I have already posted some of this in the chat. There are a number of future events happening, including in large language models, ML service for Australia, and there will be future skills development events or skills related talks. And also we will address some of the issues in the last note as like beyond algorithm, meaning what are the practice issues and so on time to time, and as well as AI and data architecture. So please stay tuned and please join us. And there are many ways of joining us, and there is a chat channel, and as well as which I have posted. And then there is also a survey that I had posted. So if you could actually fill out the survey, and particularly also let us know if you could contribute to ML4AU, and we welcome you. I mean, this is a community, so we want to have you. And so if you please fill out the survey, as well as also join the chat channel. That would be much appreciated. And, so with that, I thank you all for taking your very valuable time in the week before Easter, and which is often even more precious it becomes. And so thank you so much. And I look forward to seeing you in the next event. And so stay tuned. And also I thank Katherine, Isabel, and Anastasios in giving such a wonderful talk and an wonderful opportunity for discussion. Thank you so much. That was a packed session, but it was worth it, even though it went over time. And
and you are still recording?
Yes, we are still recording. Yeah, I will stop that. You are right.